Pursuant to Governor Baker's July 14th, 2022 revised order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, meetings of the Berkshire Hills Regional School District School Committee will be conducted both in person and remote for further notice. In-person attendance is limited to Berkshire Hills Regional School District School Committee members, superintendent, and district school administrators. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this time. However, the meeting may be accessed remotely. Agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed. Items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being recorded by CTSB and the school committee recorder and will be broadcast. Once transcribed and approved, minutes will be made public and posted to our website. And there are others recording this, including the Berkshire Edge. So let's start with the minutes. Well, let's just because we are missing a couple people.
No, I got Bonnie's coming in.
Okay. So just for the record's sake, Rich Mahoney and Jason St. Peter are the only two that are.
Jason's here.
Jason came in? Okay, so Rich is the only one. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Let's start with the minutes from December 15th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is Bonnie here?
She's online, yeah.
Okay, so it's all roll call votes now. Ann,
Aye.
Jason,
Hi.
Bonnie,
Aye.
Sarah, Bill,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Corey,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Turn it right over to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I think we'll start with good news, and we'll start with Katie. What's exciting and fun and challenging at Muddy Brook?
Let's see, we have received a Mass Cultural Grant. So we'll have our second graders are going to be doing the flying cloud, study of ecosystems. We are looking for a principal's secretary, so if you know anyone, send her my way. And we will be requesting guest readers for Read Across America, so if any of the members would like to be readers, or Sharon, I'll get the invitation out to you so you know how to get in touch with us. That's it.
We actually have two students coming with the running a little late, so I'll just go over some couple of things. We had a really nice math PD yesterday with the Teachers Development Group. It's a program that runs across the district that Christy actually bought, and she's Director of Learning and Teaching. We got our famous coach, Bill Feely, is back, and an amazing day with one of our math teachers taking on the role of the studio teacher, where we come and observe the math instruction, and they get a whole day to reflect and talk about math. It's really exciting, inspiring our math teachers to actually want to visit each other's classrooms and start talking math instruction, so that's a lot of fun. And also today, our special education team took the release day to go over shared practices, which is really exciting, around data, student intervention, and really supporting kids. So those are two things I'll share. The students will show up at this time, and I think we'll share the stuff.
My students, I go first.
So for Student Adult Advisory Board today, we had a meeting during advisory, and we went over, we have subcommittees, so we went over what each subcommittee is doing. So those subcommittees are diversion, equity, and inclusion, communications, environmental, wellness, and there's one more, but I maybe. So we during the initial retreat, during the fall, we made goals for each subgroup, and we were just keeping each other accountable to make sure that we are meeting or achieving those goals. And it all looked really good. And DEI, diversion, equity, inclusion, that subgroup made sure that we had diversity in each group. So for communications specifically, I just know most about that because I'm in that one. We're working on getting translation into Spanish for our announcements, our daily announcements, for the bulletin boards, for all like the informational things that we have that send out to students and parents and families. And we have gotten that translated, which is really great.
And the sophomores are having a February dance on the 11th, and we've started selling tickets and stuff and advertising it. And so hopefully it'll be successful. And oh yeah, our basketball team is undefeated, and we are ranked first in Massachusetts for Division 4.
And then next Friday, there will be a performance of Lovesick by Advanced Drama, and I heard them practicing, and they look really good. It's funny and it's real and it's cool.
A couple of other things, high school, and then I think if there's time, we can go back to our middle school students who just joined. I just want to reiterate what Ben was talking about with our teacher development group training. We had that at the high school today. One of the things we've been trying to focus on in our work with all of these coaches is bringing up the capacity of our staff to do their own, not so much coaching, but instructional partnership. And so today, and I believe at the middle school as well, the work with Bill Feely was in what we were calling thinking partners. And so the math teachers were in another math teacher's classroom acting as thinking partners. And the way that works is about every 7 minutes or so, the teacher, who's the lead teacher, takes a little bit of a pause and actually does a little collaboration with the other math teacher who's in the classroom observing, and they do a little thought partnership about what action steps they could take next to move the class forward to get the outcomes we're looking for. And that is work that we're going to be doing in between this coaching cycle and the next coaching cycle, because part of this is how we make the work sustainable once the consultants are gone. And so we also have Elsa Hernandez and Beth Cook, who did present to you, but I just want to highlight that they are both in training with coaches that are coaching them on instructional coaching. And so we're trying to grow that practice at the high school. And the other thing I want to share in connection to the work that the students highlighted with SOB is we have added an every other week Tuesday meeting where representatives from each of those subcommittee meetings meet with the administrative team. That includes Peter, myself, John, Keith Britt is there, Iona is there, and then our coach from BAR, Carlos Beato, is there virtually joining us. And it, I think, has been very helpful in moving the work forward that the students have been bringing to us. It's holding us accountable. Carlos has actually given us some ideas on tools to use, like Gantt charts, where we can track the work so that we're actually holding ourselves accountable to the outcomes that we're holding ourselves to. And now I'll turn it back to the middle school students who joined.
Yes, so Senator showed up.
So last week we had a New Year's fire where we burned everything we wanted to leave back in 2022. And we had a team day, or a 7th grade team day, where we played games and watched movies and stuff like that, to spend time with them on the day right before break. Currently we're prepping for student conferences that are coming up on the 24th and 25th. We're working on representing work from each class, including exploratories and academics, to present to families and parents and guardians. Also, last Friday, the GSA club had a field trip after school to a trampoline park called Bounce in Springfield. So this was, I think, was it the
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. So on Tuesday, we had the
teachers development group come and I was in the class, so they were just walking around and doing what we were doing while we did our work, and yeah. There's been a big problem with bullying in our school, and a bunch of kids are using inappropriate language for like jokes, and it's just not a good thing.
But luckily, due to our social justice club, we've had training working on that, and which we are presenting to crews next week.
I'm just gonna comment, that was really slick how you set that up, so the thorn and the rose, well done.
Actually, good that Dan said that because they remember when you had said last time.
Yeah.
To share thorns and roses.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing that. So I just have a couple little updates before we get to the rest of the agenda. As you know, you set aside some resources for us to do some work on communications. So we've contracted with a vendor, the Stryker Monthly Group, and they're doing what I guess we might as well call like an audit or an analysis of our current communications protocols. And Sharon and I met with them today. They're analyzing all our channels of communication, and then they're going to do some surveys of school staff, school committee members, parents and families, and students. And then the other sort of group are prospective students or families and or voters in the community. So they're looking at things like as granular as hits on particular websites and where traffic's going, and then they'll do these surveys and or focus groups, and then we'll come back and share a partial update and then a plan of what we're going to do. So I'm excited that work's moving forward. The other thing I want to share is probably for our next school committee meeting, either before or after, I'm going to schedule a brief executive session. An executive session is actually be public, right? But for litigation, and this is connected to the Jewel settlement, the case that we signed on. So what's going to happen is they're going to send me a settlement packet, and I'll review it, and then we have a choice. We can review the packet in executive session, or we could try to schedule one of their attorneys to join us in executive session, and depending on what's in the packet, make a recommendation to do one or the other. But it's nice that that's moving forward. The only other thing I'll mention quickly in passing is it's that time of year where we're putting our budget together. And in the past, we used to have a big book and a little book and all these different versions. Over time, most people have moved to just looking at it online. But if anybody would like a big book or a small book, you can tell me now, and Sharon will write it down, or you can think about it and then decide. For Sarah, the big book's like a phone book, the little book's like a thin phone book, and a lot of people just look at it online, but
And
whatever.
the big ones online.
Right, the big one's
They're
online.
different. The,
Yeah.
yeah.
So whatever you feel comfortable with, we're happy to produce, but we don't want to produce things that sit on a shelf because it takes a decent amount of time. Okay, so should I go by person name?
Yeah.
Or Steve, what would you like?
Small book for me. Big book.
Online. That's the environmental choice. Not to make you folks feel guilty.
I don't feel guilty, small.
I don't.
At the end of the year, I use it, so.
I think there's so many lines, sometimes I end up the small box, the way to look at it. Corey?
Small
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get a big one if it's okay.
Yes, Sarah looked at the big book
Small.
and the small.
First time.
And then I think I'll vote for Rich. I think Rich wants the small book. Bonnie?
I'll take the small book, please.
Okay. Good, so I think I got everybody, and if you have choosers remorse, just shoot me an email and we'll change your plan. So that's good and all that stuff. The next thing is we'd like to set the public hearing date for our budget, and we're proposing that be February 16th. That's the week before the February break. If people are okay with that, then somebody would make a
Just to
motion.
make a motion to set that, please.
Make a motion to set the date of the public hearing on February 16th.
Any discussion? And roll call vote. Ann?
Yes.
Jason?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Bill?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Cory?
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous.
Okay, the next thing you'll notice in your packet is a brief memorandum. We have 2 school psychologists that work in the district, and we'd like to amend their days as they're on the contract. So Vicky's been here a while, and I mentioned at a previous meeting that she is retiring at the end of this school year. So for this year, we'd like her to work 219 days. She's currently also shared in Richmond and compensated for that. That sharing our psychologist in Richmond will conclude with Vicky's retirement, and Richmond's aware of that, and they're gonna search for their own psychologist. But we feel, particularly in these times, that having both our psychologist, Nicole, and the person who replaces Vicky working 220 days makes sense. There's lots of work to do in terms of assessments, often connected to IEPs and those processes, and then there's lots of other work to do.
I have a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding between the school district and BHEA Unit A.
So moved.
That's what I was looking for. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ann?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Bonnie?
Aye.
Sarah? Bill? Yes. Diane? Cory? And I is unanimous.
Okay, so the next thing, and this is really a neat opportunity. We've been working with the Bar Foundation. We've also been working with Next Generation Learning Challenges. And then we have a group that's doing some ed visioning, and it's composed of 8 Berkshire Hills people and 8 people from Southern Berkshire. As an offshoot of that, we've been afforded an opportunity to take initially 8 people to California to visit a few schools there. And there's a grant connected with it that's fully covering the costs of travel, and they're also covering the hotel costs. We then went back and said, we really want to bring 9 people. We bring 9 people instead of 8, and they were very accommodating about us. So as it stands now, 9 of us are going, 4 are staff people. So I'm going, Keith's going, Neil Weber's going, and Val Ivy's. And then 4 students are going, and we're working on one other person to go. In the past, Christy and 6 or 7 other people did a similar, only you and 4 people did a similar visit. So that's why Christy's not going. The students that are going are the students who presented to you at the now 10th graders, but then 9th graders who presented to you. Leveling up at the end of this. We're excited to work with them. We're excited for that trip. In addition to this trip, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the details, it looks like there'll also be several additional school visits on the East Coast to maybe Connecticut, Maine, and New Hampshire. So we're excited about that. In the packet, you see an agenda of what we're doing. And before we go there and do learning walks with them to get context, we have an obligation to do some learning walks in our own school. So we can make some comparisons. The folks at Vista Unified and Mission Vista are maybe, what do you think, Chrissy? 8 to 10 years ahead of us in this world? Yeah. So this should really be inspiring and aspirational. I'm looking at a paper copy, but if you have the electronic copy and it's in the packet that's on our website, there are a million links in here, and you could dig really deep and click on all the links and get some additional context. But it's really well organized. We're very excited about it, and we'll make sure after the visit that we come back and report out. The one document I shared with you, and I really like it for all these cool infographics in it, is the one about reaching for the personal learning star, Vista Unified. So a lot of the talk has been around personalized learning, making students actually be and feel known and connected, and this describes some of it. And I like their metaphors and how they try to have their vision be accessible and easily said by anybody in the building. Right? So you know you're really doing a good job in a school when a student can tell you what the vision is, and somebody in food service can tell you what the vision is, and a custodian can, and teachers can, and paraprofessionals. You'd expect that a principal or superintendent could do that, but when everybody interacts, it's really good. So again, I think this is neat, and a thing came up. So this work is also connected to our corporate of the graduate work, and it's not like we're out on a limb and inventing this stuff ourselves. There are 6 or 7 schools in Berkshire County also involved in corporate of graduate work. There's a national movement where people in Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, and New Hampshire, I mean, just regionally are doing it all over. So I'm really excited that we get to go, and I think it'll be really fun and really interesting, and also a little exhausting. We'll be psyched to come back and tell you. Any questions or things people noticed in either of the documents?
I like the principal's intro. I think that the social studies teacher, we talked about how AP is a challenge to personal learning because the curriculum is so structured. How the took structure and grouped it into his own style of personal learning. It's really good. I haven't read it.
Yeah, no, it's long, and if you go down the rabbit hole, it's really long, but I like it, and it's clearly articulated. Maybe we tie sort of weave it all together. We do a visit like this with our own work, we connect our communications people, and in a year or two, we have a similar articulation.
The fact that the school you're visiting is twice the size of mine. It's 11, 2.
Yeah.
I have school, which is another 6 3.
Yeah, they're a bunch. And it's interesting because when we talk to them, and every so often we have a meeting with our folks and the Southern Berkshire folks and somebody from Holyoke, or another group from Holyoke, and one other group. And they talk, and the people from Mission Vista talk this really honestly. It's going really well there now, but it wasn't always going really well there. And they had some leadership changes and peaks and valleys and all that. It should. I think this one is what it is, and this is sort of like the platinum version. I think some of the New England ones are more aligned with who we are. Similar demographic. Chrissy, what is the name of the project with Pasco Bay?
Choosing schools, I actually have Manchester, exclusively some regional offerings, which is schools like that. We also connected with one of our own Susan Bell, who's now she was schools and they made it based grading. So that's another school. We're also looking to get some schools up there.
So, thank you. Any other thoughts or reactions? All right, so moving along, and note how early this is, but we have a request for approval for both the boys baseball and girls softball team for additional assistant coaches to be funded by the Booster Club. And this is a minor miracle in my professional career, because we're in the middle of ski, basketball, and swim season, and we're ahead enough to be talking about baseball. So would somebody like to make the motion?
Before we do that, I would just say that we were supposed to be meeting with together.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the cart before the horse. But we set up a group that was gonna meet and put input. We can discuss it in that subcommittee. And you were part of that subcommittee, but let's do that first. I like your initiative. We get an A for that.
I'll check in with Claire tomorrow. We'll get some date.
Right. Didn't realize because of budget. Maybe a little off, at least if we get the dates.
Along those lines. Like, one,
Yeah, we can do that. We also can look through Carl's eyes what each team needs. Mr. Gibbons years ago did a really comprehensive. Maybe we need to look at that.
And sometimes it changes on student participation in any given season, right? That there was a time when there were multiple assistant coaches swimming, and it's probably not totally limited. At one point, the boys and girls tennis team, separate coaches, assistants, that's changed a little bit. But please go ahead. I'll make sure that it's scheduled.
So do I have a motion to accept the request by the booster clubs for booster club member positions? Do I have a second? Any discussion? Roll call vote. Dan. Aye. Jason. Aye. Bonnie.
Aye.
Sarah? Yeah. Diane? Good. I agree with you. We've had it in the middle of the season.
No, we had it after the season.
Yes.
So we take the little wins.
Yes.
So the next one is the update on the regional school district planning board. So that group continues to make a lot of progress. They're meeting all the time. They're working on this draft regional agreement and trying to finalize that. And there's several active subcommittees that they also continue to do research. It's just tiring to think of how many meetings they have. I mean, it's 10% of them, maybe when it's supposed to be at, I don't know how you all the meetings. But the work is ongoing and it's really very good. Making good progress.
Can I ask a question about this town meeting? I read the thing they put out the other day,
Yes.
and I was asked by somebody in the post office, why is this so important for both districts? It's actually momentous for both districts. Why? I've got it wrong. Why are we not having an election, special election, in each town? We're allowing town meetings to make such a momentous decision, which town meetings in Great Barrington, the town meeting represents less than 10% of all registered voters. So I guess I will ask it, has that been considered? And if not, why? Or is it going to be a town meeting that agrees on the agreement form and then it goes to a vote? Because my recollection of this district, we had a special election for the middle school and the elementary school. After a town meeting voted, I believe, Steve, you have a much better memory than this because you were on the select board. I think one of the town meetings voted down the projects, the elementary and middle school.
Was that the ballot?
But we did have an election. We had
Well,
a special election.
Well,
So I guess my question is, this is so important. I've been thinking about it since this person asked me a question. This is the most important thing that this district is going to do. And besides building a new high school and besides building the two new buildings we have since its formation. And we're going to allow town meetings, which to me are an obsolete relic of the 19th century, which rolled away of the outhouse. They're just, they're just not representative of the population. And I can't understand in this day and age why such a momentous decision is being left to like Great Barrington. Okay, look, what's the highest turnout we've ever had in that town? 500 out of 4,000.
There even more on the special issue.
Yeah, out of 4,000, and I'm a warden for precinct B, and I'm always asked how many registered voters, and it's like 4,300 and something in Great Barrington. So you have 600 people making decisions for 4,000, and think about the whole district. So I guess from my own particular viewpoint on this committee, why isn't there being made a provision for all special elections in each town? And then the majority of those votes, the vote is pooled together and it's majority wins.
Let me, occasionally I go out on a limb or step in it. I'm going to try to not do that now. Let me just bring that question to the group and ask both, because I don't actually know what the plan is on this.
Yeah, I was under the impression it was going to the ballot,
So I don't.
and I've been to all the meetings, so I may have missed something.
Because Lucy on the last sentence of that notification said, once the agreement is, it will be sent to will be decided by May. And they gave, that thing with the timeline.
What did she say, town meeting?
Yes.
Because May could be also the election.
Yeah,
We'll find out. We're gonna-
Yeah, we'll see that.
And the school building project just clearly is prescribed how we have to do it. Right. So we have to find out if this may be prescribed too. So let's find out. Your points are well taken.
And I don't retract my comment about town meetings.
You know what? Years ago, Danny Brown went to his first town meeting and teared up because he said it was the purest form of democracy.
So the next one on the agenda is the MSBA process and what's going on with the building committee on that. There are two pieces we're working on. We're finalizing the capital and maintenance reports, Steve's doing the bulk of the work on that. And we'll be submitting that to the MSBA before the 27th of January. And I'd like to thank the 3 town clerks who are particularly helpful on that. One of the granular level of detail we need is every capital project in each of the 3 towns for the last 16 years and what the votes were for each of those. So
There's a lot of that.
there's a lot of capital projects. So the town clerks have been really helpful in that. So we're moving that piece forward. We also, some members of the building committee are going to meet with the MSBA around enrollment and what they're recommending around enrollment. So the enrollment of the high school anywhere from 500 to maybe 550 for 310 school, or 650 to 700, maybe 700 for 810 school. So we're going to have that conversation with the MSBA and see what they're saying. And it's a conversation. So that's where we are on that. Two other things, maybe less. We're particularly lucky that we're in the MSBA process now, because you might have read in the clips or something that they're raising the amount of reimbursement per square foot pretty significantly, from 350 to 400 or something in that order. But the other reason we're particularly lucky to be in is making that shift means there's less of a pot of money for them to fund projects. So we're already in the pipeline, which is great. The schools who are in the position we were last year, if our year they supported 12, this coming year they only support 8. So then we should have stars. I think that's it for me, Steve, and then there are some policy things. And when we get to retirements, there's one I'd like to mention.
Policy subcommittee has not had to read. Adjacent buildings and grounds.
Yeah, we met on December 22nd. Meeting. The main topic of discussion was for this year, number 1, cafeteria, tables and chairs, about half of them speaking because this year's budget, the rest of them next year. And that's something that's pretty, thousand. So that's number 1. Number 2, early childhood program and playground health. Some money, small standalone structures. Three was 10 to 15 LCD. Also, we still have blackboard, chalkboard, not rest of those. Number 5, probably students and faculty chose classes. Placement, so. I normally ask. I would feel we can do.
It's a good question. Okay, moving ahead, the answer for him. Yeah, I don't know. So we implement goals which are too many, and we combine them and narrow them down, a little more tangible, future meeting that we try to dig into. And I think it's fair to say, sometimes we forget it's like the evaluation, the advisory subcommittee, so we're also making some more space to use the committee as a sounding board for the challenges and outcomes. I'm trying to bend my nose. So it all full circle. Finance subcommittee has not met negotiations. And we need to start with needs. The personnel report. Yeah, so just lots of stipends and other things in the personnel report, but the one thing I wanted to mention, many of you are aware that for about 12 years we've had a 21st century grant. It's a large grant that funds our after school and summer programs. And we've got granted for each of the buildings, plus some exemplary grants and other areas. Tom Kelly's been the coordinator of that program and has done a lot to build strong relationships with the state office that oversees this, plus partners and other things. And the date on this is, the little office is 12/3, but it's really 12. I mean, it says 2/3, it's really 2/23, but Tom's announced to us that his intent to retire. February, so I'd like to thank Tom for all his efforts and hard work. Thank you. So, any old or new business before the meeting? So after this meeting, Corey, Jason, and I are going to go down and meet with the 3 Stockbridge Select Board members, for the 5 of them to appoint or a person to our school. And then we'll talk to the 2 people that they don't appoint to that, and try to involve them in the outreach committee or something like that. Any public comment? And if there are attendees, you could raise your hand and we're happy to recognize you. Second. Unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks.